So, Z, welcome back. You're our second-time guest.
Yes.
First guest on the After Hours show.
I love it.
So, we got the man, the myth in the house.
Yes. We're in the same t-shirt. You would have thought this was planned.
Except our flags are facing different ways.
Oh, yeah. That's all right. Yeah, so what do you want to start with? Do you want to talk about school first? How's it going?
Yeah, what do you got? You're graduating in
2 weeks.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah, May 17th.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long journey. I always talk about like the halfway point, because the halfway point is either where people fall off or they kind of fall out of love with school and the whole system and, you know, the calendars and the quizzes and the finals and everything like that. And I remember directly halfway through my college career, I had no job. I had $1,200 in bills every month. I had
school bills? Just books and shit?
So no, it was more like I had school because I didn't want to take out any more loans past freshman year. Mm-hmm. So everything past freshman year I paid out of pocket. So I had that, which is around like $2,000 a semester. So you have 2 semesters, that's $4,000 a year. But just like gas, groceries, car, insurance, like
life,
everything, life put together, it was like around $1,200 to $400 a month. And I didn't have any job. I didn't have any incoming money whatsoever. I DoorDashed for like a few days, but that wasn't too reliant. So I just remember thinking like I have to either find a few different jobs to work that can work with my school schedule and keep going through with college, or I need to drop out, pay off all my debt, and start fresh with something new. So either whether that be construction or finding a marketing job without a degree, or, you know, whatever I would find. I just knew at that turning point that this is why people drop out.
You just felt, it became real.
It became real, really real. You know, it was like, I see why my mom didn't go to college with a kid, and I see why all these people drink every weekend. It's to distract yourself from the pressure and the stress and the unknown and not being in full control, but yet you have, you know, a full schedule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you don't have any control over. So I just remember like, finally I got like a job doing wedding venues on the weekends. And
was this 22, 23?
22. So this is 22, top of the year. I got a job at a place in Burlington, the Mercantile Hall.
Yep.
I started working
multiple weddings there.
Yeah, so I started working there, doing nights, and then they paid me like $150 a shift, and I'd work maybe 2 shifts a month, so it's like $300. Mm-hmm. So I still need a lot of more dough to come up with. So then I got a second job at Starbucks, and I would rotate. So one weekend I would work Starbucks, the other weekend I would work Mercantile, and it would like fill my schedule.
Drug dealing wherever.
Yeah, right?
No kidding.
Yeah, that was definitely thought of as an option. Not gonna lie, you know. I'm like, man, there's a lot of people that, you know, I could make money off of. No, but so I did that, and then obviously everybody knows our story. Kind of, I was working at the Starbucks, and I asked you what you were doing, and you know, the rest is history. But from now being at, you know, the finish line at the end of the tunnel, looking back, I'm so happy I stayed and I didn't let myself off easy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because that is the easy route. You know, like you're already halfway through. It seems like forever, but it's really not going to be. But when you, like I said, have no money coming in, $1,200 a month in bills, and you got to go to school every day, and you got to be happy.
And there's nobody to stop you from just being like, all right, screw it, I'm done.
Yeah, there's nobody to stop you. And I'm a first-generation college student, so like, it's not like my mom or my dad or my stepdad or even my friends, like, there's nobody to lean on. There's nobody to tell you like what to do, what not to do. Like, you know, I went to tutors for classes that were really hard, but it still felt like there was nobody to lean on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was pretty lonely, that halfway mark. And then once I started getting those jobs lined up, I felt a lot more secure. I felt like I was doing the right thing. And then when I met you, that was like the green light to like, all right, finish this out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
like,
you're right there. You can see the line in sight, you know.
yeah. And without you, I don't even know if I would have finished college, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like if I was just like, I feel like every other person, normally to have a job before you graduate, that's really hard. It's a really hard thing to do. And I feel like a lot of college kids right now are in the market for a job, and you know they're not getting as good pay as they should. They usually have to do an internship or 2 or 3 or 4 before they get a real position. You know what I
Or even
mean?
something in the vicinity of the career that you wanted to go into.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people I know that are like engineers, and it's this high-paying job. It costs a lot of money to be an engineer. You get paid very well, but the job market's terrible right now.
Yeah, they're working something that's totally unrelated, right? Just to make it work.
So like you're thinking you're going to be an engineer, and all of a sudden you're working at Qdoba. You know what I mean?
Engineering burritos.
It starts, literally. It starts to dwell on you, and the stress starts to hit, and it's like, okay, I got my senior year coming up. What am I going to do? Am I going to be that guy that's not having a job, or am I going to be that guy posting this and that? And it's just like, there's a lot of stress into it, and that's why a lot of people don't go to college too, is because the job market is so saturated. It's really hard to find a job after college, and everything you have to go through, the debt, the long nights staying up studying, the partying, getting lost, and that whole side of everything.
I know plenty of kids that just went way too hard their first couple of years of college, then they dropped out or something because it was just, you got a little carried away.
Yeah.
There's no adults there with some bumpers to keep you in line.
And it's encouraged, drinking and everything, like across the country. Like it's just one of those
especially
things.
in Wisconsin. I mean, it's like part of our culture here is drinking.
Yeah. So it's easy to get lost and sucked up into that whole side of everything, But I'm lucky that I had a girlfriend and a family.
And you didn't live on campus too, which I think helps, right?
Yes.
That helps a lot.
Living on campus, definitely, that, all your friends are going out. It's a big part of the culture on campus, is to go
Which
out.
I think you can learn things about partying, you learn things about yourself and how you interact with people, but you can't also lose yourself in it too.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, even right now, like, I don't really love going out. I like doing stuff. Like, if we're going out just to drink, I'm not having a good time.
Yeah.
But if we can go out, we can play darts, we can play pool, we can walk around, we can do things.
Yeah. And there's a drink in my hand, then it's just an
right.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. But it's going good. I'm going to graduate on time, which is perfect. It's actually pretty rare. A lot of people graduate in that 5th year, or they have to take an extra semester or whatever. So I'm beyond blessed and grateful for that, and grateful to be at Daleen Restoration, because without this, I wouldn't even probably continue my academic career, And I wouldn't have the trust and belief in myself to be in marketing without this position, because you can learn everything and you can take tests really well, but can you put those skills to use in the real world? It's a lot. That transition's a lot harder than
it's the
people
textbook from the real world example, and sometimes they're a little different in how you execute.
Yeah, for sure. And marketing's so, what's it called when like something's so big? It's so general.
Yeah,
it's so broad.
Yeah, you could be a million different things when you say I'm a marketer.
Yeah,
right?
like
you could be a podcaster, you could be a writer, you could be a photographer.
Product,
like whatever.
Clothing, So it's like you don't really know what you want to do, or what you can do until you've done those things.
Yeah.
So I always knew I was creative and artistic, so I knew I would be able to help somebody with something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but I'm happy to graduate. I'm happy to move on to the next chapter. I'm happy to work full time. I can't wait to go out there and grow commercial accounts like you want to get into, and just elevate myself and elevate the business, and just, see what this next chapter holds. So.
Yeah. You're free.
Yes.
Not the college shackles anymore. Man.
Yes. It feels good.
Yeah. So what's graduation like there? Is it outdoors, indoors?
So it's indoors. It's you get about 7 tickets for your family. So it's a pretty big ordeal. It's early in the morning. I got to show up at like 8 in the morning because there's like rehearsals and everything. I'm gonna be emotional as hell, So it's pretty standard. I wish it was outside. I don't know why they do it inside.
Forgive me. Do they have a football stadium there?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
they have a
yeah.
massive.
Well, I guess it's Wisconsin in the
football.
spring, so you say it's gonna be outside, then it's raining, or it's,
right, which that might go into it.
Yeah.
I think it might be more about selling the tickets.
Gotcha.
I think that's probably more what it's about.
Okay.
And maybe, maybe there's some safety regulations. Maybe they had somebody in the past threaten or something. I don't know. But it'll be inside, 7 people, a family, and it'll be like a 4-hour ordeal.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And then you're done.
Yeah. Huh? Done. Never going back. Never.
Never say never.
Yeah. No, I'm not going back for sure. I already know. I'm not getting my master's or none of that. So.
Check that off the list.
Yeah. I don't really think I need it. So.
Well, more power to you, dude. I couldn't do school. I was such a bad student.
That's so hard to believe because you're so technical. You're so like your eyes on the ball, like attention to detail, like you know how to complete a task, whether it's going to be the next day, next month, next year, like you know how to follow through with that process. So I couldn't believe
it's because it's the things that I like. I think and it was because I liked certain subjects. Like there were certain subjects that I liked doing, so I would do all the work. If I didn't like it, not for like a defiant reason, it was just I didn't have the attention span for it. So it was like I really liked economics. Like if I could just study that, I would have like loved to do that. But hated math. They kind of go hand in hand, but I just hated math, right?
Like the economics has more of like a purpose behind it, so you can kind of see why they do certain things.
I think so, yeah, because if you're just somebody's like, all right, just do this equation or figure out what x equals, right? It's like I don't really want to do that because it doesn't have anything that I can see it working or pertaining to, So
right, it's just numbers.
Yeah, and I like to absorb information. Like I like learning about new things, but when I can choose them,
Yeah,
that's also a double-edged sword of mine. I don't like to be told what to do, and I think that goes into it a little bit, and so I just wasn't a great student. So it's almost impossible for me to imagine me going through 4 years of it. Like I just don't have the discipline for that.
Wow, that's crazy. I would have thought you for sure would have done college or something like that.
No, I went to Gateway for a little bit. Study sales marketing because I wanted to be a real estate agent, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I need to do that. And went to Gateway.
Not a bad start.
Yeah, and at the same time, I was studying the sales marketing and then taking the real estate test, and I was like, oh my god, I can't do any of this. Like,
it's too much at once too.
Yeah. And it was a dumb idea on my part. You don't need to get a sales and marketing background to be a real estate agent. You just need to know people and transactions, and it was dumb.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So.
But you had the right direction.
You got to sell yourself. Yeah. But it was just
yeah, for sure.
Just a little lost,
So what was that conversation like with your parents about going to Gateway, trying out these classes? Now you don't want to do this. So what's your next step? What happened directly after coming out of Gateway? Like how was that conversation with your parents? How was navigating life?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I got my timeline right on my life. So my parents have always been like pretty, I hate to use the word chill, but pretty chill about things. I think they always knew I'd find my way. So it was more just like, let's get out of the way and let it happen. And as long as you're not doing self-destructive things, if you're not going out and you're partying or you're just being lazy or whatever, it's like, as long as we see positive movement, they took a pretty laid back, seat to it, which I think helped me figure out my own path, which I respect them greatly for. Because I think if I were a parent, I'd be like nervous. Like, oh shit, you gotta tell this kid where to go. So they didn't really intervene that much. They just wanted to see me moving in a positive direction. But throughout that entire time, I had a job where I had seen the potential to get, like a bigger employment. I was working as a marina manager, and then I was a property manager and all that stuff for the South Shore Club there. So it was like even if I stopped doing that, I still had a good job that was relatively big for a person my age at that time. So it was like I was doing okay.
How'd you get there?
My cousin Chris worked there, and he referred me, and then I worked there for 8 or so years.
Wow.
So I was 13. Yeah. But that's what helped me start the first business I had, was because I took basically what we did there and then just tried to copy and paste it for other homeowners around the lake. And so that has attributed a lot of me learning. Like if I didn't take that step back when I was 13, I see a really hard path to me finding my way to restoration, because throughout that, it's like the butterfly effect. If you look back, we took steps to finding this business, right? I had customers who had issues, and then I found subcontractors, and then they went out of business, and then we took over.
And you're also networking with people, you know what I mean? You're dealing with these people seasonally, so you know they're going to be coming back next summer, and you have a relationship with these people. You're learning how to talk to people. You're learning issues that they're having with, their property or their boats or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like learning learning general things like that, like, or even like me working at Walmart, like just because you go and study marketing doesn't make you the best marketer.
Yep.
Like, you also need to have other jobs and learn these other perspectives of life, like conversation and people and nurturing and all
Yeah.
that stuff. They don't learn in a book. You learn that by experiencing life, and all that knowledge is still carried over into what
Yeah,
you
it
do
just
today.
it just kind of pools together and builds your repertoire. So you're in a situation, oh, I remember that from this one situation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and those experiences I had helped me learn about customer service because we were dealing with people that had a lot of money. They expected things to be a certain way, so they wanted a great service. So you learn, okay, maybe I don't really like this person. Maybe they're really asking a lot. That, hey, do normal people need this? No. But it's like, okay, here, learn how to say yes, learn how to find the answer and just make them happy, which helps. I think that helps in anything, even if you're not in business. If you have a job, whatever, you need to learn how to make your higher ups happy. Like, those are just good skills to have.
Yeah.
So that was my college. My
Yeah.
college was learning that, which, now that's pretty much all I do today is talk to customers and employees and everything. So it helped me learn how to do that. And it just carries on and folds onto itself, So.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And kudos to you for realizing you didn't want to go to school and backing out and trusting in yourself, because 90% of the population is like, if I don't have a really good job with benefits or I'm in college, like, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
Like, everyone feels like they're not doing enough, or there's more to be done, or, they got to live up to the school that their dad went to, or their dad's a big guy and this, Scott Ford manager.
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
like,
yep.
you got a big shoes to fill,
Yeah.
And so for you, that was trusting in yourself is a hard thing.
Yeah, I
Like,
think that's growing up too. Like, my parents were they weren't like, you need to do this. They're like, I want you to be happy. I want you to be successful in whatever way that means,
yeah,
And then also growing up around entrepreneurs, like, it was just like, hey, you might not take a conventional path, It's like, it worked out well for everybody else in my family. I was like, maybe this is what I needed to try.
yeah,
So happened to be what I think that's the truth, but
yeah,
we'll see. Right?
yeah, for sure, 100%. No,
Yeah.
I think you did good.
Yeah, and it was definitely the funniest thing was, like, 48 hours into school, I was already behind. I'm like, how do we already have assignments? I don't even know the teacher's name, and I'm already behind.
Yeah,
And I'm like, whoa.
the syllabus quiz.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, nope.
Yeah, good. Kudos to
And
you.
it wasn't like high school where you could just kind of be nice to the teacher and they'd let you pass. This was like, no, you
No.
really need to complete your tasks.
Yeah,
Which was-
for sure.
Yeah, that was how I usually escaped by. Just be nice.
Yeah, and in college, like, let's say you, like, get behind. Some teachers have a policy where if you miss an assignment, like, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, you're not getting extra credit or something to make
Yeah.
up for it.
Yeah, so
Which
it's
school
fair.
hard knocks, right?
It's
You
fair,
gotta learn.
yeah. I liked it. Some teachers expect you to be an adult and be on time, and they say, hey, if you have a job and you have this task, you have to do it by this date.
Yeah.
People don't like people that are late and
Yeah.
have excuses and this and that. So I understood it. But there was definitely some times where I went to, like, office hours, like all these professors have office hours. And I went there, and it's like, just like they have power and, like, they're using it, and
Yeah.
it's like they'll tell you to come at this time, but then they'll be in the bathroom or somewhere else for like 30 minutes, and then, like, you're just sitting in there.
They're sweating you out.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and they know why you're there. They can see your grades and things like that. So I remember it's definitely not like high school.
Yeah.
The teacher has all the power, you have none. The teacher, the professor, guides and controls the whole classroom and the course and everything. So,
Which I think I'd have an issue with it, but it does make sense because that's real world, right? Like,
Yeah.
everybody's got a boss, no matter what you choose to do in life, like, you're going to answer to somebody, whether it's a
Yeah.
customer or your literal boss. And
or your
sometimes
kids.
sometimes the buck stops with you. You just got to, hey, there's nobody else to fix this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, good on you.
Yeah. So, what do you, 14 more days, something like that? And we're.
Yeah, May
we're
17th. So,
oh, no, that's a little more, but not much, right? It's, was
No.
it the 29th today?
yeah.
So,
So
yeah, man. You're getting there.
I'm excited. Yeah, I can't wait. I know it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you do.
Yeah, me too.
So something else we wanted to talk about was AI and how, like,
Yeah.
I know in school it's a hot topic because you're probably learning about it. They're also probably in some ways making sure you're not using it, right? They want to make sure that you can do tasks by yourself.
Right.
But I have recently just gone on a journey to try and get more comprehensive with my understanding of it, right?
Yeah.
And using it for more things just so I can learn about it.
Yeah.
And I've been using it operationally now, operationally in the business, helping with ops. But on your end, what do you see as like the future of it for marketing and sales, and how has it helped you in doing what you're doing?
Yeah. So I'll step back a little bit. So as for like the academic part of AI, we're definitely learning about it as much as we can, and we're using it. So some professors encourage the use of AI. So whether you have to write a paper, or you have to create a presentation, or you have to figure out a strategy for this or for that, they encourage the use of AI. Some professors don't. I would say within the past 2 years, it went from 10% AI, 90% not, to 90% AI, 10%
As
not.
far as the curriculum or usage in
As
the
far
classroom?
as usage, so what was before frowned upon as using AI for sort of things, now it's like it's become a lot more prevalent that this is the future. This is what other students are going to be
Just
doing.
use it,
This
right?
is what I'm doing as a professor to reply to emails and
Yeah.
keep up on my tests. So why are we not going to let our students use AI?
That was like back in the day in math class, like you can't use a calculator. It's like, okay, when am I not going to be able to use a calculator?
Right,
Right,
exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of that. So the AI lenience has been really lenient. So I can use AI for almost anything, any assignment, any email, anything now. Almost all professors let their students use AI. What we're learning about is how these bigger corporate companies are going to use AI, and nobody's going to be using like ChatGPT or Microsoft's AI or Grok or Meta's AI. What companies are going to be doing is they're going to be building their own AIs, because every company has their own issues. So whether it's accounting or marketing or supply chain, every company is going to be building their own AI to solve their own issues. Because what happens with ChatGPT and these other big corporate companies, they take all your data,
Yeah.
and we don't know who.
Well, and you're giving it to them. You're like,
Yes.
you're talking to it like about all of your problems. Like, hey, here's my.
Right.
It's like shit. Now it knows all of that.
Yes. So in college, they actually taught us that using your company's personal information in these things is a huge risk.
Yeah.
And with AI, and another thing is like they're teaching us about AI, but they don't really know how it works. Like they're teaching us, okay, you have a huge data sample. You want to figure out, let's say you want to figure out who's going to be more likely to buy this product.
Yeah.
This group of people or this group of people. It'll come up with that answer, and it'll show you how you got to that answer, but you don't know how it made that decision. You know what I mean? So a lot of it's like we're going to teach you how to find these things, and we'll show you the process on how to find it, but we don't know how the AI is able to communicate these ideas and come up with a solution. Like that's still like a big unknown.
Yeah.
So a lot of it.
You think because it makes it hard to fact check. Because like you can ask, like for example, like a ChatGPT, you can ask it a relatively complex question and it'll spit out an answer. But I'm like, I don't actually know if that's true or not.
Right,
So that's part of the
exactly.
other thing. And then to your point, it's not your data. Like I've been trying to figure out how I can get, because obviously we don't have the money to build our own large language model or anything like
Right.
that, right? But like how to get I want to take all of our phone call data, we get permission to record them, and plug it into, a model and figure out all the pain points with customers or insurance adjusters or whatever, right?
Right.
Identify, hey, like, listen, this is all of the phone calls I've had with insurance adjusters in the past 2 years. Can you find the areas and where we have common ground, where we don't? Like an example like that, right?
Yeah.
Like how can we get data in our business and then
Yes.
use these softwares to understand it?
Yes.
Because otherwise, like, all we can do is plot it out on a chart and say,
Yeah.
well, it looks like March was a busy month because we had a lot of phone calls and April wasn't. So how can we get sales?
Right.
Whereas a model might give you a lot more data and teach you how to
Right.
correct it too.
Correct. Yeah. So building your own model is going to be like the future. So
Yeah.
everyone's going to have like their own AI. Like Daleen will have an AI. Adams Electric will have their own AI to solve their own problems, because these other ChatGPTs are too broad.
When they're really loose with the data.
Yes. So everyone wants to build their own system to build solutions for their own problems. So that's the future, I think. And the perception of it, every professor is different, just like the whole AI leniency. everyone's got their own guesses and opinions on what AI is going to be. The common conception of AI is that it's going to not shrink the workforce, but it's going to make the worker's job easier. So
Just root out all the shitty jobs that are dangerous. Or
right. So, instead of having 20 people on a supply chain, you'll have maybe 15 instead of 20, but it'll be way safer, and the way the supply chain's all laid out will be as efficient as possible, and like shipping and receiving will be all AI, so you won't have too many people working over there. So they don't really think it'll shrink the workforce, but it'll make whoever's in the workforce their job a lot easier. And that's like, I would say, probably 60 to 70%. But then the other 40 to 50, I feel like is more accurate in my opinion, because these are all opinions. If you go back to like the release of the first iPhone, you can have all these experts say what it's going to do to society and blah, blah, blah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, now in 2025, it's like, I don't think anybody got it right. Like people didn't think that we were all going to be so connected on our phones and through TikTok, and these influencers are now more powerful than politicians. Like, that's not where
nobody
people
saw that on the writing. They just thought it was a cool device.
Or like cable.
Yeah.
Nobody saw streaming like
Yeah.
with the first iPhone, and without that first iPhone, streaming probably wouldn't have been a thing, like until years and years later. So it opens up these butterfly effects of things. And I think, it's not going to shrink the workforce. I think they want to believe that. I think personally, what some other professors' opinions are, it is going to shrink the workforce. Like what takes 5 people to do is going to take 1 with a machine.
That seems inevitable in my humble opinion.
Yeah, for sure. With evolution and everything, with technology. And I think it's not only going to shrink the workforce, but
excuse me,
bless you. It's going to make the people that are in the workforce more reliable on this machine. Mm-hmm. So the more reliable, the less knowledgeable you are. So, like you said, you have a calculator. Why would you need to learn how to do math, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody has an AI, why would they need to learn how to actually make things better on their own, or come up with ideas or marketing material?
I'm about to sneeze again. Sorry.
No, you're good.
No, it's like respond to emails in a complex way. We were talking about that the other day. It's like it is very easy to tell it, hey, I want to send this email to this person, and basically kindly tell them to F off, and it'll write it all out.
Yeah.
Or it's like, okay, you could see in the future, 10 years from now, everybody is just writing maybe 1 or 2 sentence emails, and this is just popping out the rest and conveying complex ideas.
Correct. And one thing that I know for certain is the trucking industry is going to be one of the earliest adopters of like self-driving vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't need driver, like it cuts out all the costs.
It cuts out all the costs
and the liability.
These people got to stay up for 20 hours, whatever. One of the things that I see happening is like no more truck drivers. It's all automated, self-driving. And like, you ever seen the show The Boys?
Oh, on Amazon?
Yeah, so how they have these like superheroes that are
anti-villains, basically.
They're
right?
they're superheroes, quote unquote superheroes. They work with the government.
Yeah.
When there's casualties, there's just a check sent out. Nobody goes to jail, right?
Yeah.
So let's say the superhero saves this woman but kills 50 people in the process.
Whatever. Collateral damage.
Right. Yeah. So they'll send out a check to that family. They'll pay for the funeral, everything like that. So with these truck drivers, instead of like, let's say something bad does happen, I see less accountability, more checks being handed out.
Yeah.
So instead of the truck driver making an accident, causes casualties, that person goes to jail, or whoever's at fault goes to jail. But with these driverless, autonomous vehicles, who's going to go to jail?
Well, maybe nobody, because maybe there's no accidents.
Okay, so
and you're more efficient. And
okay,
you're all
that's
the above.
Good, right?
Like one of my favorite movies, I, Robot. Like they had autonomous vehicles at that point, and there was like no accidents because it was all computers driving them. Like everybody stay in your lane, everybody get to where you're going. You can also drive faster.
Yeah.
So maybe there's none.
I don't think it'll be 0%. I think it'll be really good.
Well, I guess that's when it's fully implemented. The rollout might be sketchy. Like Tesla hasn't figured it out. Right?
Correct. So what happens when the Amazon drivers and I think Amazon will probably deliver our mail eventually. I think
Yeah.
Amazon will probably buy up, or the government will employ Amazon just because of how efficient and cost effective they are. What happens when those autonomous vehicles have casualties and all that's left is, nobody to account for? It's just
Insurance.
yeah, right. But like, if that's my family member, like, hey, that CEO of that company should be responsible. Somebody should be behind bars. So I see things kind of sliding into that gray area where, like, there's less boots on the ground and there's less accountability, just more money, more greed, more money, more checks.
You went dark with it, man.
That's where I see it, like, for real. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, for better or for worse, I think there's going to be a lot of great things, like, hopefully, like in the medical field with finding cancer and finding diabetes and treating these things. I think that'll be a huge plus. But there's two sides to every coin. Like, it's so great we can operate our business and everything off these digital devices, but
We're tethered to it, right?
we're a lot more lonely. Our children are a lot more lonely, and they have a lot more mental health issues. And we're as connected as ever, but as lonely as ever as well. So I think, like, there's two sides of that coin, and it's not 0% chance that it's going to be terrible, and it's not 0% chance that it's going to be all amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
That's how everything is, right? Yeah, that was an interesting perspective. I wouldn't have, I didn't think about it that way, but it is a fair point, right? It's like when there's nobody doing the thing, who's responsible for it?
Because in episode 1 of The Boys, one of the main characters loses his girlfriend in a casualty, right?
Yeah.
And the whole
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So the whole season, the whole show, the reason it's even a show is because of that, which then leads to a revolt and him getting his own mini-budget superheroes to fight these big guys. And it's like, I see that happening. Like, I do.
Yeah.
I do see that happening.
It'll be really weird.
It'll be super weird.
When things fully roll out and see where they take us. I'm feeling the first 10 or 15 years will be a letdown, and then, after that it'll be amazing. But what do I know? I'm like a rock when it comes to this stuff. But it's just like, when you look at predictions of the future, usually they're amazing, and then it takes a long time to get to that final result, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, by now, if you're watching Back to the Future in the day, we got hoverboards and we're time traveling and all this stuff, right? It's like, not quite. Our hoverboards have wheels on them.
Yeah, of course. And I think that what was I gonna say? With the whole AI and how everything's gonna go, it's a lot, like, it can't be calculated. And we don't have the power grid for it.
Yeah.
Currently.
Yeah.
So, like, within the next 20 years, we probably still won't have the power grid for it. So I don't think we can get to a point where everything is autonomous and everything is off of AI. You know what I mean? I think we'll still have, like, combustion engines and gasoline, and, we'll have real people at the supermarket, not robots,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, who knows? I think the important thing is just to not be, ignorant to it. Learn about it. Make sure you know how to use these things and stay.
Everybody that's going to high school right now, like, if you learn how to use AI and learn how to, like, use the internet, I feel like those skills will be much more valuable in the long run than, like, history or anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, going through all these life experiences will have you more knowledge, like how we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I still think that's very important. But as two skills, like AI and the internet, like, that's what the future is going to be.
Yeah.
So if you don't know anything about that, like, you're behind.
It helps shorten your learning curve. Like, nowadays, like, for instance, if I didn't have you and I wanted to create a new marketing flyer, I could have it do 90% of the work that would have taken me hours to do because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right?
Right.
You could have AI do it and give you at least, like, a pretty good outline of it, and then maybe we just have to do the fine tweaking. So it just shortens the learning curve on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yesterday, speaking of using it for operations, I was having it look at our price list, compare it to other market pricing, and then help me find a balance in it as far as like our rates for general things, right? And it would take me hours and hours to go and search each thing and figure out what a fair market price is and blah, blah, blah. And it can, whether it's 100% accurate, I don't know, but generally get me there pretty quick, and I can fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
And it just saves so much time. It
does.
I did in Starbucks yesterday in 2 hours what it would have taken me 2 weeks to probably do manually,
For sure.
And
like, as like how I use it currently is mostly like social media, email marketing, and like idea creating, and kind of like creating plots of ideas and things like that. So, like, let's say we have some before and after pictures, but I need a caption. Right? It's really good at that stuff. If we have a shop talk episode coming out, okay, here's our guest, here's what he's been through, create a short, concise email description so I can put it in this.
Yeah, it gets you started and you tweak it, you figure it, but it's just like, there's a lot of relief. It's like having a person who spent their whole life being a headline creator in your pocket. You know, it's like, hey, I don't have a good headline for this post. Come up with something cool. It gives me the starting point.
Correct. Yes.
Or I can even like, let's say I got a guest coming on, and they've been a plumber for 20 years. What are some things I can ask them that guests would find interesting, right?
Correct.
And it just gives you the framework, and then you have to frame it to that person.
Yeah,
right?
it builds a strong foundation to the house, but what it doesn't do, it doesn't create very nice cabinets.
Yeah, it doesn't make it a home. It just gives you
it gives you the building blocks.
Yeah,
and it's very good at that. I think in the future it'll be even better.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be so much better that instead of typing, we'll just be talking to it, and it'll talk back, and it'll have, you know, a bunch of more options. Instead of one response, you'll get 16, and you get to pick one or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it'll just be more efficient as the future goes on.
I would like that because my constraint is my ability to get like what's here to my fingertips to that, because like I'll lose a thought by the time I type something out, you know, and so I usually do type to text, but then as you text me a lot, you know that I have a horrible Siri issues, right? I just send it out, whatever, they'll figure it out. So, you know, you have constraints that way, but yeah, being able to just talk to it like a human would be very awesome, you know?
Yeah, and creating cool images too, like AI can create really good images right now.
Like our, what the
Our
hell?
toy box?
Oh my God, the one that you made a mark.
Yeah. So funny. So it's really good at doing that, and I think even in the next 2 years, like we'll be able to create like our own cartoons.
Yeah.
Like I could upload this 10, 15 minute.
By the way, check out our Facebook page and find what are they called? They're superhero kits or something, right? What's the name for that?
They're like
trend?
toy box.
Toy box. Check out our toy boxes. I think we got me, Mark, and Colin. If you know any of us, they're very, very funny.
Yeah, so it's very good at doing that. You know, it still takes a while. And what I didn't know is that every like text you send to ChatGPT, it costs OpenAI money.
Oh God, yeah. It
costs
costs you money to say thank you to the software.
Right.
Yeah.
So doing those things costs a lot of money for them.
It's like there's somebody in there trying to do like, you know, a horrible disease research and hey, no, make me a cartoon, right? Like the dichotomy between those two.
Right. And I think like eventually we'll be able to upload this full video to ChatGPT. Be like, all right, create an anime in the style of Naruto.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll like be able to do that. People will be able to make cartoons, comic books, like the whole creativity of it, I think will be really awesome.
It's all just in the literal power and then processing power, right? Like it just takes a lot of energy and stuff to make these things happen, you know?
And to critique them, like I might say, okay, make Kevin a cartoon and put this on his shirt and it still won't do it the right way. Yeah. So it's not 100% accurate, you know what I mean? So I think in the future it'll be 90, 92.
Well, I think right now it lacks context. Like if you ask it to make, like let's say a picture of a restoration technician in a house, it might put like an air mover in a flooded house where it's like literally sitting 3/4 underwater and you're like, you got the idea, the execution was wrong.
Yes. You know? So what I do, and I'm sure anybody else that is creative does, is like, let's say I need to create those toy box pictures. I'll upload an example off the internet. I'll upload pictures of everybody. I'll upload our logos. I'll upload everything that it needs. I'll tell them where it goes, you know, what goes where. Yeah. And then it'll create it more accurately.
Yeah. But you have to take the time to step it out for them.
Right. You know, because if I just say make a toy Kevin, you know, I have to upload your picture.
Who's Kevin? Are you talking about the bird from Up? Right. Like what?
So I think the more stuff you upload and then ask, a lot better. You know what I mean? Like I've even had it create Goosebumps comic books. You know Goosebumps?
Speaking past my head here.
Wow. Man. So Goosebumps is a very popular comic book, and it was made in this very specific style. And the guy that originally created all the art did like airbrush.
Okay.
So it's a lot. It's like super hard to recreate. Like, and he's like a very famous guy, and AI did it like very well, like almost like 1-to-1. You know what I mean? And it created like the whole Goosebumps logo and the whole comic book. Like, the power of it, like we have no idea
Yeah, where it's gonna take us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine when it gets photorealistic too, right? Where you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, and imagine when like you can have it create video games and you can like play. Like instead of giving you a picture, you can actually click on the picture and you can walk around.
Yeah.
And, like
that was a episode in Black Mirror. Do you watch Black Mirror?
I started the first episode and I was like, I have no idea what I'm getting into, but it's midnight and my girlfriend is not gonna watch this right
It's
now.
the whole series is really you put you in a weird mood, but they're really
I always
mind-bending.
like hear about stuff like that, like that's like a Black Mirror episode. Like
Yeah.
that's something on a Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Like I always feel like they create a bunch of good like ideas. Like what if this happened like this?
Yeah,
You know what
it's
I
just
mean?
if you took like a normal societal, like a societal norm and you just ran with it to its most extreme event.
Yes.
That's what they do in those. One of their episodes, spoiler, was you just, if you had a picture and you wanted to walk into that moment, you could. And it was a guy trying to reminisce about the love of his life and find out the story of that and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
But it's really trippy. And it's the same type of thing. It's like I could take a picture here and I walk, and then the computer's got to guess like what's in the other room there,
Yeah,
You know,
right?
so.
Yeah, it's gonna get weird. You know, and it already is a little weird, you know? Like what happens when like you can't distinguish something from reality from AI. You know,
That's the simulation theory.
you know what I mean? So like is AI
If it is simulation, it's one heck of a simulation. There's a lot of different
Yeah. I don't know.
variables.
That's the thing, we don't know.
Yeah.
You know? So
Well, I don't know how much recording space do we have.
we got some, yeah.
Yeah.
What else did you want to talk about?
The only other thing we had on our list was horror stories from jobs.
Yeah,
you know?
let's get into that.
Yeah, we had messed up the recording of our what do you call it? Did we name it horror stories or was it
Yeah,
like
I think it was.
experiences on the job? Whatever. We had a malfunction, so we wanted to recreate those too. So I guess that's pretty much all on me. I think the one I had mentioned in that video was one where we did it a flood, and it just took me by complete storm because I didn't understand what the customer was saying. You know, because when somebody calls in the middle of the night, typically it's me waking up in the middle of the night. I'm not just sitting there staring at the phone, right? So somebody called me, and it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, something. I'm not a human yet, and they're like, "Okay, I got water in my house. I got it at the bottom step of my basement." I'm like, "Okay, pretty routine, right? We'll go out there, clean it up, no big deal." So I go out there that morning. I got there by like, I don't know, 6:30 or something. And I opened the door to her basement, and it's at the top step. You know, not the bottom part of that step. It was all the way like 8 feet deep. And I'm like, oh, shit, lady, you really undersold that. And she had no panic in her voice, which was, I think, why I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, you thought it was not as big of a
I
deal.
open up. I'm like, whoa, we got problems.
Yeah.
And it was...
We got issues.
Yeah. So we had to pump that thing down. And when you're pumping out a basement, you can't do it too quick because you don't want things to start to collapse in. So you had to pump it down slowly. Luckily, the city was okay with us pumping the water into the culvert. I called. And then come to find out, there was a substantial amount of books, like generations worth of books in this basement. To put it in perspective, I think it was 4 or 5 30-yard dumpsters. It was a lot.
Books.
And books get very heavy
Heavy.
when they're wet. Yeah, it's like if a
Yeah.
book weighs what, like a quarter pound when it's dry, it's probably 4 or 5 pounds when it's soaking wet.
Yeah.
So that was just one of those where like A, the beginning was shocking, and then B, we pump it all down and then
And
find
now you got
out-
this
yeah.
other problem.
And, I didn't know shit about this business when I started, so I gave them her a bid up front.
Oh,
And I've always had the philosophy
God.
since we started,
Yeah.
unless there is, and I typically, this will only really apply to the reconstruction portion, but on the mitigation stuff, it's like, if I gave you a price, we're sticking to it. Even if it means that it's going to be a real rough couple of weeks. So I gave her a price, and we did it,
Yeah.
Probably dumb on me. I probably should have had a disclaimer in there. Hey, if you have, a library worth of books down here, that's probably not included in the price, but I'm a man of my word, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably the first one where I was like really taken back by it, and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, I remember seeing those pictures.
Yeah.
That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
But it made you more knowledgeable,
Yeah, you learn what to do, what not to do. Not to give a blanket price when you literally can't see the job. That was dumb on me.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you got some
I
good
think I did
karma.
feel her out for how much stuff was down there. I think I was like, give me an idea. What are we working with here? I think it was grossly underestimated, but I had some idea. So it wasn't like we lost our ass on it, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably the one that sticks out the most. One that came from you was one we did in Janesville. That
Not for me. I walked
well,
into
to an insurance office.
Yeah.
In his defense, I told him, I said, whatever you got to do to make it known that we'll go above and beyond for these agents, please do it.
Yeah.
And it walks in, and the agent goes, hey, I got this claim here. Nobody wants to touch it. What about you guys? Yeah, sure, us.
Like, I'll take that.
And, hey, I'm man of my word again. I'm like, all right, fine. Yeah, cool. I call the adjuster, and she's like, buckle up, dude. This is a rough one. The house was horrible. There was a, oh, no.
Take it.
No, that's all good.
We can pause it.
The realities of our business. My phone is ringing right now, and at the other end of this is a $350 charge.
Just take it. Take it.
It's all
We
good.
can pause this.
I'll call him back.
All right.
Yeah, that's a fun part about this business. The phone calls are expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get into that job. There was an animal abuse situation going on there where these animals were captive in this basement and unfortunately going to the bathroom in that basement, which then flooded.
It smelled like ammonia times 1,000.
In this whole home. It was horrible and so sad for the animals. We ended up helping those animals out.
Yeah.
That basement flooded. Then there was a fire in there. The basement flooded because of the firefighting effort. And just a really nasty house. Just as nasty as it can get.
Maggots in the fridge. They didn't take anything out the fridge.
And, to be honest, I don't have a lot of sympathy for this situation. Like, I was happy to help that agent overcome this issue and all that, but the homeowner was not treating those animals right, so unfortunately I don't really care about.
Right. She wasn't treating the animals or herself. Right?
Yeah, and so it was one of those situations where, like, listen, we're here to do a job. That job is to restore this house back to what it was. That's all we're gonna do.
And it wasn't in really good shape probably before it flooded.
No, and then to top it off, like, we had to do these crazy things to even get the homeowner out of the house or to approve things like providing transportation and phone and food and all sorts of shit. And it was a crazy, crazy claim. And it's like the house is back together now. She's back in there, no animals. But
she still calls, by the way. She still will call and ask about, like, her cabinets, or, like, she wants to redo the flooring and, like, all these things that aren't covered.
She wants me to clean the gutters. And I was like, I don't think you understand. Like, you had a fire. Your house.
She saw you as, like, Superman, come save the day. He's gonna take care of everything.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, you didn't even pay your deductible. We're not cleaning your gutters when you had a house fire that didn't even damage the exterior, right?
Right.
You have a brand new house on the inside. Be happy,
Yeah, you'll still get calls from her.
So that was.
I guarantee you'll get a call next month.
Yeah,
she'll be calling you.
But hey, we told you, listen, whatever it takes to get somebody to know that we're the real deal, and I think we proved it in that situation by putting up with all that stuff. But nonetheless, a lot of nuances with that job.
Yeah.
I was fortunate that I had a vacation planned for the days we were cleaning out those basements. I didn't take the vacation because I knew that was happening. But I was fortunate that I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But shout out to our guys for putting up with that and getting her done. So yeah, those are the two that stand out to me the most so far. I'm sure there'll be more to come and more that I could remember if I was thinking harder.
Yeah. I think we can wrap up. I just went to the draft, the NFL draft.
Yeah.
The first round. So that was awesome. The Packers drafted wide receiver. We needed a wide receiver.
We don't talk about Packers here because I'm a Bears fan.
Yeah. He's a Bears fan, but he doesn't know 5 players. We've been here before. But you guys drafted another good wide receiver too. I could hear the boos in the stadium when you guys drafted the tight end first. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the rivalry goes. Hopefully we can both make it to a game next year.
Yeah, we got to go to we can get one of my dad's tickets to his Bears games. We'll go see a Bears-Packers game or something.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Let's do it.
Well, thank you guys for joining us on our first episode of Shop Talk After Hours with a guest here. Again, we're meant to make this kind of more informal, one camera, minimal editing, just kind of shooting the shit, whether it's business or personal. So thank you guys, and thank you, Z.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Cool, man. Congratulations on graduating. Can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Nice.